Picture this, a vast green landscape stretching as far as the eye can see. Small groups of early humans huddled together, their world defined by the horizon, the changing seasons, and the hunt. They had no kings, no priests, no towering temples or grand palaces. Their society was something we can barely imagine today. So, what was life like before the rise of gods and kings? Let's take a journey back in time to a world of equals. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors lived as hunter-gatherers. Their communities were small, usually just a few dozen people, all related by kinship. Think of it as a large, extended family constantly on the move. There were no bosses or rulers. Decisions were made collectively. If they needed to decide where to hunt next or when to move camp, everyone had a say. The person with the most experience might have their opinion valued more, but they couldn't force anyone to do anything. Power wasn't concentrated in one person. It was shared among the group. This kind of society is often called an egalitarian society. Egalitarian means everyone is equal and deserves equal rights and opportunities. In these hunter-gatherer bands, there was no concept of private property as we know it. You couldn't own a piece of land. The resources of the environment, the animals, the plants, the water belonged to everyone. If a hunter was successful, the meat was shared with the entire group. Hoarding food was not just frowned upon. It was socially unacceptable. Generosity and sharing were the core values that held the community together. Their survival depended on it. So what changed? Why did we move away from this egalitarian model? The big shift happened with the invention of agriculture, about 12,000 years ago. Suddenly, people could stay in one place and grow their own food. This led to a food surplus. For the first time, societies could produce more food than they immediately needed. This surplus was a game changer. It allowed some individuals to accumulate wealth and resources. With farming came the idea of land ownership. If you and your family spent years cultivating a piece of land, you started to see it as yours. This created a new kind of inequality. Some families had better land or were better farmers, and they became wealthier and more influential than others. The surplus also meant that not everyone had to be a farmer. Some people could specialize in other skills, becoming craftspeople, traders, or leaders. As villages grew into towns and towns into cities, society became much more complex. Managing a large population, organizing irrigation systems, and defending against rival groups required a new level of organization. This is where we see the emergence of chiefs and early forms of government. These leaders often claimed their authority came from a special connection to the supernatural. They were the ones who could speak to the spirits or appease the gods, ensuring good harvest and victory in battle. This is the birth of the connection between gods and kings. The king was often seen as a divine figure himself, or at least as the chosen representative of the gods on earth. This religious authority gave them the legitimacy to rule, to collect taxes a portion of that agricultural surplus, and to create laws. Magnificent temples and palaces were built, not just as homes for the gods and rulers, but as powerful symbols of their authority, visible for miles around. Society was now stratified, with a king at the top, followed by priests and nobles, then soldiers and craftspeople, and at the bottom, the farmers who made it all possible. From the small, egalitarian bands of our ancestors to the vast, complex empires ruled by divine kings, it was a monumental transformation. We traded the freedom and equality of the hunter-gatherer life for the security and complexity of civilization. There were incredible advancements of course writing, art, science, but it came at the cost of the simple equality our ancestors had known for millennia. It's a fascinating story about how we became who we are today. Thanks for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this interesting, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations into our incredible past. See you next time.